While Madam Web immediately became a meme after its first trailer dropped,
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
I gotta admit, I was intrigued by the premise. A team of spider women comprised of Hollywood's biggest leading actresses, all woven together by a psychic web. Sign me up! Unfortunately, what we get with Madam Web is a lackluster origin story, devoid of much action, powers, or sense. Kristen here, let's break this one down. There are some spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. Dakota Johnson stars as Cassandra Webb, a loner of a New York City paramedic who finds that when you take on the responsibility, great power will come, in a new play on the iconic Spider-Man line. The responsibility? Protecting 3 young women from a mysterious rival who wants them dead with her newfound clairvoyance. There's Sydney Sweeney as the meek Julia Cornwall, Isabela Merced as the independent Anya Corazon, and Celeste O'Connor as the rebellious Maddie Franklin. All 4 of them share the same experience as abandoned women who don't have real family to rely on. So it makes sense that this leads them to becoming a found family of sorts. But the story lacks the emotional depth needed to be believable. While this quartet seems like a match made in leading lady heaven, the girls are sidelined for most of the film. Cassie's often having them hold tight for 3 hours alone in the woods while she runs off to try to figure out what's going on, or disappearing mid-film for an impromptu trip to Peru to figure out her past. These sort of transitions just feel lazy and reductive. Tahar Rahim plays our generic bad guy, Ezekiel Sims, who strangely sounds as if he's dubbed over in every scene. He has no real motivation as a villain other than seeing this vision in which the Spider-Women come and kill him in the future. We don't know when or why, and it all comes together rather dully. It's particularly disappointing because the most thrilling moments are when we get to see these young women in their Spider-Women outfits, using their powers, which are only seen in this vision. We never get to see that trio actually use powers in this film, let alone see how they get them. I do think the film does a nice job of creatively tapping into how Cassie uses her abilities. That visual web of powers that we get to see, that's pretty exciting. I also liked how they tapped into the trendy 2000s. That's just like a really popular era right now. So like for instance, in one scene, we get to see Cassie rewrite history.
Let's try that again.
By crashing a stolen taxi into a diner soundtracked to Britney Spears' Toxic. So there were moments like that that I did enjoy. I think the most interesting parts of this film were really those connections to the Spider-Man world that we know and love, even though they were done as more of a minor story. So we get to meet Uncle Ben, played by Adam Scott, and his very pregnant sister-in-law, Mary, played by Emma Roberts. There's hints of Ben dating someone new. Is this the future Aunt May? And Mary goes into labor delivering a healthy baby boy. They don't actually explicitly say, this is Peter Parker, but like, that's what's going on. The end of this film, though, is a mad dash to try to connect the film to the Marvel Comics version of Madam Web. Suddenly, Cassie is blind and paralyzed, giving off this Professor X energy as she embraces the girls as her, like, metaphorical daughters. It's so on the nose that it becomes cheesy, and that cheap quality is something that kind of permeates the entire film. There are a lot of moments that are, like, awkward or laughably bad because of the way that they're set up or because of the dialogue.
Showing off. Maybe a little.
All in all, Madam Web wastes a strong cast with a half-baked story, weak dialogue, a pointless villain, and no real development of a majority of the characters or their powers. While I would have loved to actually see this cast of Spider-Women actually shine, this film may be too bland to start a franchise. Let me know your thoughts on Madam Web in the comments below. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!